What will be your first reaction if someone tells you that such and such a person is speaking badly against you? Before you read on, stop and think for a second. Of course, different people may react differently, but most of us will take it personally and explain to the person that I am not that kind of person and that the person who criticized or said bad things is wrong. The raw material will be opened and kept. After the person is gone, we will continue to wonder why this friend or relative said that about us. And even now the brain will fill in by creating a powerful negative story around it. Finding meaning and creating imaginative stories around things is a specialty of the human mind. But how not to take such matters personally? And why do humans do this? Most of the time, we deal with behaviors such as lying against others, criticizing unnecessarily, if it is right, it is not wrong to criticize, or making fun of others, which causes pain. There are many reasons behind this. Often, people's biases, insecurities, and ulterior motives lurk in the subconscious. How should we deal with such situations? When people's words hurt you emotionally, understand that you have taken their words personally. You feel an attack on yourself. This habit of taking it personally has deep roots that take you back to childhood, poor self-esteem, and various insecurities that make you take criticism of yourself. The first step is to practice changing your point of view. That is, every time you start criticizing yourself, take a few seconds to look at the matter from another point of view. For example, if your boss criticizes you, if your mind is used to taking it as a personal insult, then immediately explain to him that the criticism may be about your performance and not because the boss has a personal grudge against you. Look at the criticism from the company's point of view, evaluate your performance, and clear your mind. Get used to seeing everything from different angles. Your child is not going to be born from perfect humans. And are you perfect yourself? Make a habit of separating fact from fiction. As I said, the mind is a master of making up stories. It can contaminate reality with fantasy. Then if someone criticizes you or makes a remark, you feel like the whole universe is conspiring against you along with family members. You don't know what's going through the mind of the critic or passerby, and you don't need to know, and you can't, so you blame yourself. There is no need to create myths around the criticism. Mindfulness meditation can also be useful for this. During this meditation, you can examine your thoughts and mental myths. Learn to separate truth from myth. The previous paragraph talked about the mind and its habit of creating stories around criticism which are related to your thought process, while in this one I'm talking about separating truth from myth. That is what happens to you. Not every criticism or remark is unwarranted, of course. Most people's criticism is the result of ulterior insecurities, biased thinking, and nefarious motives. But that does not mean that every criticism is wrong. Before you take criticism personally, take a few seconds to pause and think, is this true? If it is, then it can be a source of learning, and if it is a myth, then there is no need to take it upon yourself. All this takes time to practice. Make it a habit to pause for a few seconds before reacting or responding. To deal with such matters, my favorite quote from the Stoic philosopher Epictetus is to read this quote once a day. Epictetus says, "If someone tells you that such and such a person is speaking badly about you, then there is no need to give him explanations, but say to him in reply, 'That person is not aware of my other faults, otherwise he would have mentioned them to you.'" Imagine someone coming to you in a very sensational way to discuss a criticism against you and you giving them an Epictetus response. Think how much time and energy could be saved. It all comes from practice, of course. A quote from American novelist David Foster is very close to the truth. Foster says, "You will stop worrying about what people say and think about you if you realize that people rarely do. Since we are very egocentric, we think that people are only thinking about us, and that is why we take their words personally, when the reality is quite the opposite. Be prosperous and share happiness."